So, in today's video, I will be talking about this question that has really come up. Like a lot of viewers on YouTube, as well as my readers on Medium, have messaged me personally, as well as pointed out in comments, saying that why is it that when I know the person is not right for me, why is it so difficult for me to let them go? Right, logically, Shavani, I can tell you that I know that this person is wrong for me, I should really leave them, but why am I unable to leave him or her, etc. So in today's video, then I'll be talking about a few reasons as to why this happens. What this means is that when you know that a relationship is really consistently bad, right, then you know logically that yeah, it's wrong, or that it is not fulfilling the emotional needs that I might have, or that it's not making me happy, or it's not fulfilling my long term goals. That's why I do not want to be in this connection. So that is very easy, that's a very easy decision to make. But if you compare that with a relationship which is on some days good, on some days bad, on the others it's worse because you don't know where you stand with the person, now that is a tricky situation to be in, right? Because then your brain does not know and cannot predict actively as to what type of behavior or response from them will you receive, right? If one day they are nice, the other they are not that great, or they will not respond with the same enthusiasm that you reach out, then your brain will obviously be stuck on solving this problem, sort, or like this puzzle sort of person that is presented in front of you, right? Because you will be constantly then thinking that if I just try a bit harder, maybe I'll get a better version of them that they were maybe day before yesterday, or maybe a few weeks or months before that, right? So then you make it a point to work on this personal project per se, of making sure that you need to work hard in order to get a better response from them, and right, and that's what keeps you in this cycle of highs and lows. And that's the reason sometimes then it becomes very difficult to leave this cycle. So this can create a cycle that I'll be showing now in this on the screen. They will end up creating distance, right? Let's say, for example, you have an argument with the person, with let's say your boyfriend, and he ends up giving you distance. Now this distance is bound to make you feel anxious, and also leave this uncomfortable, distressing moment that you might be feeling, right? Distressing emotion that you will be feeling. And that's the reason then you will end up longing for them as a result, because you will be missing them. You'll be thinking that maybe if I should wouldn't have said it, he wouldn't have felt bad, and he wouldn't have then given me distance, right? Then you will end up longing for that connection. And once you do end up getting that connection back, or once the person does end up coming back, you will then feel relief for a moment, until you end up again maybe bringing up a topic that they did not want to discuss, or that you end up talking something that you really wanted to, but then you know that it hurts them, or that they end up pushing you away due to that. And then the cycle continues. So because the positive moments in such type of dynamic is so unpredictable and sparsely given, that it's when you will end up holding on to them tightly, and that is what ends up sometimes making you reluctant, or like stuck in this cycle with them, and takes longer for you to leave. So sometimes the reason why we can't let go of someone is simply because not because we like the person that they show us to be in the present moment. Sometimes you might really not like it, right? Sometimes you might really dislike aspects of them, or not like the way that they are really showing up in the connection, but you will be hooked on to the potential or the possibility of how they could end up being in the future, right? So what this looks like in any connection or dynamic is that you end up holding on to those fragments, maybe the good fragments, and then you end up making up thinking about an ideal version of them as to how they might end up showing up in the relationship, right? This looks like for example a person telling me that the person that they were seeing was a lawyer, right? So because the person was a lawyer, the person assumed that the boyfriend will end up showing up very logically with regards to any arguments that they have, or will end up giving a will be very level headed when they are having any arguments, or if there's any emotional aspects that they want to discuss in the relationship. So that time both of them can have a very civil communication or a disagreement with regards to that, right? But that is not how it happens, because the person ended up having an anger outburst, and ended up screaming or passing snide, or maybe sarcasm was his way of expressing his anger, right? So sometimes we end up holding on to certain fragments, either the professional label that they have, or the good aspects that they end up showing up, or sometimes the way they end up showing up in other connections, for example maybe social media, or the way they end up showing up for their friends or family. We end up thinking that that will end up meaning that he or she will be a good partner. But is that really the case? No, because the way they end up showcasing or showing up in a connection in the present moment is and should be what you should be taking into consideration, rather than the potential of how they could show up in a connection later on. So maybe you have spent maybe let's say weeks, days, or maybe months, or maybe years. For a lot of people it's years in a connection, right? And that's the reason you will end up feeling that I have already invested so much of my time, my emotional effort, my energy. We've had such great moments, we've shared such great moments together. So why should I leave that, right? And leaving means you'll have to be open to change, and change can be scary, right? Change can be scary because that means you'll have to start all over again with another person, or that means that there'll be days of loneliness followed by days of silence, because there's a possibility that in order when you leave the other person, you will have to take the onus of healing in your own hand. There'll be days when you will not feel like talking to anyone. You will feel very crappy. You will feel like crying all the time, right? You'll be dealing with a wave of emotion coming your way, right? So sometimes that can be scary. Change can be scary, and that's what leads a lot of us to stay in the familiar cycle or in the familiar situation environment rather than leaving. This cycle can lead you to end up thinking that what if I don't find anyone else, or what if I never find a girlfriend, what if I never find a boyfriend, what if I never find someone as worthy as he or she are or is, or what if no one loves me the way that they loved me, right? These questions can keep you stuck, because these question point out to the part of you that is scared of change, or the part of you that is scared that what happens once you leave the connection, and the uncertainty that comes with leaving and letting them go. So sometimes the fear isn't actually I want this person, it is I don't want to be without anyone. Now, if you're already lonely, or if you already feel that you are alone in life, you have no one by your side, or you are dissatisfied with other aspects of your life, that and you had made this relationship your primary focus, right? So then it can be very difficult for you to leave the connection, because you would have thought that this I my like my sole responsibility or my sole purpose of my life is for this relationship to be happy, and for this relationship to work, right? Because now this becomes my personal project wherein I cannot fail, because if I'm failing in other aspects of my life, there's at least this one anchor for me that is keeping me stable, or that is keeping me sorted in my mind. So sometimes if that leaves, it can be like the emotional response then can be very like distressing and distasteful as well, right? I mean, it can be very distressing, obviously, because then you'll have to deal with the reality then that there's no one who ends up showing up for you on your good days or bad days. The reality that you will come home to an empty space, or that you will there will be messages the person does not answer. There will be a space where there's no one to spam or call or rant about your days, right? So sometimes accepting that reality that you'll end up being alone is not like it's very scary for a lot of us, right? So that's the reason sometimes we are unable to let go of the person even though we know that the other person is not right for us. This is especially true when a relationship ends without any closure, because then your mind ends up keeping like searching for that missing piece of information that is there. This can look like if we would have just spoken about this one last thing, or if you would have just given me clarity as to where I stood in his life, or that why did he break up, or that why couldn't he tell me what was the reason behind him acting that way, or him pushing me away, him distancing me away, right? So when if you are stuck on the part where you believe that the other person needs to give you closure in order for you to feel like have that closure, or that you for you to feel all right, can keep you somewhere emotionally still hooked onto the person, or that it can still keep you stuck on the person per se. Because even though like for this you don't need to really be present in the relationship per se, because mentally you will end up giving them that much space in your life, because you'll be constantly thinking about them, right? That what why couldn't they say so, it's like that unsolved mystery that will keep playing in your mind all the time. It can also lead you to like think about or like search for missing information that could or may complete your story that you might have had, like a hypothesis that you might have had in your mind, that they did not love me, that's the reason they ended up pushing me away, or maybe there's another person in their life, that's the reason it happened, maybe I need to search more, maybe I need to stalk them more, right? So mentally it can occupy a lot of space and take up a lot of energy of your life, and sometimes that's the reason you'll end up saying that why can't I let them go. So this is very true, because logically you can know and you can rationalize this as well, or you can intellectualize this yourself, say telling yourself constantly that I know they are not right for me, then why is it that I'm thinking that I should just be over from like I should just be over it by now, that why am I still thinking about them, why can't I let them go, why can't I let them go. So now attachment does not work that way, right? Now just because you have mentally thought about it that you need to be over them, that does not mean that your emotions have caught up to it, right? It takes a bit of time for your emotions to come par with the reality as well. Because at the end of the day, the reason why this affects you emotionally so much is because the person played an important part in your emotional landscape as well, right? Because they were the one like they were present in your important moments, in your bad moments, in your sad moments. They were a constant active participant in your life, right? And that's the reason closeness at the end of the day will end up creating some sort of attachment, whether it is physical or emotional or mental, right? And just because after now the relationship has ended and you end up saying that need to now be over them because they were not a nice person, that does not mean that it can be just done in that snap of a moment, right? You have to give yourself that space and that time to heal as well, because the relationship or that connection didn't develop in one day, in a snap of a moment, right? Or snap of time. So then why is it that when you have to let go, or if you have to heal or move on in the same way, why do you expect or have such unrealistic expectations then from yourself? That is something that one really needs to introspect on.